This is a true story about when I went to art school. I was 20 grand in debt. I couldn't afford paper. I couldn't afford pencil. I couldn't even afford books. Most of the time, I had to draw on a paper bag. I mean, that's how bad it was. Those were lean and mean years. I was out there trying to find food to eat, man. I couldn't even afford a hot dog or a hamburger. It was so bad I made ketchup soup one time. I used to look through the windows of restaurants and wish I was in there eating. One day, my friend came up to me and said, "Hey man, I got a job for you." I said, "Really? What kind of job is it?" He said, "There's a woman that owns her own business at home and she would like to take some art classes afterwards." My eyes lit up. I said, "Wow, that sounds pretty good." So I was excited. He wanted me to teach them how to draw. I started thinking about the money I could make and, be able to pay my bills and get out of debt. So I went back home and I gathered as much change as I could so I could take the bus uptown. Now, when I got off the bus, I walked up to the building, I looked around, and I said, "Wow, this is a nice neighborhood. Man, these people making some good money here. This is where I want to be someday." I ring the doorbell. All of a sudden, the door opens, and there's this woman in pink lingerie standing there. She's holding a whip, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and she's like,
Ah, teacher.
and I said, "Am I here at a bad time?"
No, come in, little art man.
So I'm walking in, and this woman is almost naked, and I'm looking around the apartment, and I'm seeing some interesting whips and toys and weird things that I never seen before. I walk in a little more, I look into the living room, I see this big hairy guy in a leather mask. I'm looking at his back, and I'm getting a little worried now. This guy looks like a gorilla, and he looks like he could rip my head off. And I'm looking around and I'm standing there saying, "Wow, I'm about to give an art class here. I gotta do this. This is what's gonna get me out of debt. This is gonna get my books, my pencils, my paper. I gotta do this. I gotta stay positive." She turns around and says,
I am Lady Edwina. This is Snowflake. You teach.
he had a zipper over his mouth. He couldn't really say much. So I get out my materials, I put up my paper, and I get ready to teach class. This is the weirdest class I ever given. But you know what? For $40 an hour, there could be worse things I could be doing. It's gonna fix a lot of problems. It's gonna take care of a lot of debt and a lot of bills that I have. Later on, I found out that Snowflake was a big-time exec at a bank. He bought her cars, he bought her clothes, he bought her 3 homes. It turns out Snowflake wasn't too bad of an artist.